Hi, I'm Dr. Onna Lo. I am a vitality and longevity specialist. I help high performing women and leaders and change makers reclaim their vitality energy, reset their mindset so that they can go back to doing the things they love and connect it with courage, with strength, and with energy. So, I want to talk to you about abundance. Abundance is a feeling of curiosity, a feeling of positive emotion of possibilities, appreciation, wellness, and fullness. It is this feeling of curiosity where you look at a seed and you not only just see the seed for what it is right now, but be able to actually have the faith and the excitement of what it can become in that tree, in that beauty, in that potential. So there are a few things I want to share with you how I cultivate abundance. But we cannot talk about abundance unless we actually focus on scarcity mindset, which is actually this concept of fear, the fear of not having enough or taking away from someone that might have it and we took it, or if someone took it and we won't have it. That zero-sum game concept, or learned behaviors, learned beliefs, right? Often we hear about the costs of things. We hear about savings and budgeting rather than actually seeing as, valuing and using words like investing or looking at potential or exponential growth or compounding, right? We see things as linear if we just 1 + 1 = 2, rather than that opportunity and experience that can actually unfold into something exponential. So by starting to acknowledge that fear and that lack, it's then something that we can start approaching. We have to acknowledge these feelings of fear, because when we are in fearful mode, it is so important to address what we're afraid of, lay it out, really listen to ourselves, because if we don't, we will actually start becoming fight or flight and freeze. And when we acknowledge these fears that are in our system, that are real, that are there to protect us, then our nervous system can start calming down and we can really start strategizing and changing and evolving. So most important is to start listing out these fears and concerns when we go into that scarcity, listening to the stories we tell ourselves, listening to the stories that we've been told. And then the next step is then to really be committed to the alternative, to say, okay, simply just because we listen to the fear, we count it out, doesn't mean we have to believe it, doesn't mean we invest in it and start taking actions. That's when we say, okay, we hear you, what do we do next? Then it's actually say committing to the alternative. The alternative is the creative option, is a different outcome, a different possibility, a different feeling. And take the moment and actually say, what does that look like? And really refocusing our brain. Often scarcity mindset pulls you and we become, right, we run in cycles and we start taking actions towards smaller and smaller corners, where we're saying, let's retrain our mind towards the commitment of what's the alternative. And that brings me to the third practice I do, which is the gratitude practice. Gratitude practice comes in a couple forms. The first one is just simple reactive, right? Receptive gratitude, passive gratitude, where someone do something to you and you say thank you, right? You see something that feels good and it's being given to you, say thank you. But proactive gratitude is slightly different. It's actually training ourselves every day when we walk into the world, when we wake up and breathe, we actually scan our environment for experiences, for interactions, for relationships, for opportunities where we actually proactively appreciate, where we see the potential, we look for these potential, such as we say, wow, I'm really grateful that I met this person and developed this connection for future potential. Or I didn't think that this was going to be something I'd run into, but now I found out this information and it's going to be really helpful. Or taking a moment to appreciate when an opportunity came up, or a seed has been planted in a potential relationship. So it's really helpful to really start training our brain to go out into the world and start looking at possibilities. And that is very much something we cultivate and we develop over time. So why this abundance practice is so important is because mindset is something that we can change, we can cultivate, we can challenge, right? It's not something that just gets stuck and it becomes real. It changes over time, over experiences. And so we don't get stuck. We just keep retraining our brain towards new possibilities and mindset and ideas. And it brings me to the final piece, which is the most powerful piece of abundance, which is the human ingenuity, how resourceful it is to have the brilliance of the human mind. Because with the human mind, we turned worms into silk, right? We turned wood into houses. We turned metal into tools. We turned water into generating power. So being able to really be inspired to collaborate, being able to remember it's not the what or the how. Often look around and say, who can I serve because of my brilliance, and who can I invite to help and support because of their brilliance, and valuing people for that is so powerful. So I hope you enjoyed this.